Good evening. My name is Matt Britton. I'm the chairman of the board and general counsel at 40 Days for Life. And you don't have to thank me. We did come a long way. Maybe you can thank me a little, but I want to thank you guys for being here, and Brendan and your family, and Brioni. How do you say your name again? Brioni. I don't know whether to pronounce the E. And all the folks that I've been emailing and working on this with. Father DeRosa and I traveled from Washington into Canada, back into the United States to San Francisco. I don't know how many hours it is. I don't actually know what day it is now. But I know it's snowing at my house, and my kids have school today because it's Friday, but they were happy that they missed it because of snow. I had to shave my beard because it's so hot here. Father DeRosa has a cassock on and didn't shave his beard. I'm not sure how he's going to survive it. But I am from America, but we come in peace. The guy filming back there, he stole my line. I was going to say I was going to make Australia great again, but word about our president, I can't remember his name now, but you heard of him. Say what you will, and probably most of it is true. He is the most pro-life president that we have ever had. And when we kicked off our symposium, we have an annual U.S. symposium and an annual international symposium. One is in London. I hope to see y'all. And Pat Hanrahan from Sydney came to our symposium in Orlando. We have it every year. You'll like it because in order to get a cheap hotel and a nice hotel, we go to a very hot place in the summer, so you'll feel like you're at home. Phoenix in the summer, Houston in the summer, Orlando in the summer. It's just like here. So President Trump heard about us and wrote, you can see it, it's on our website, go to the symposium, it's a Phoenix Symposium, and he wrote us a welcome letter and an endorsement for 40 Days for Life. So I'll be sure, I've never spoken to him my entire life, but I'll be sure if I ever do to mention that I was here and you good folks in Brisbane. So we're going from Sydney because we had to land there in order to get an affordable ticket, and then to Melbourne, where we've been and met with Fonz, and came up here to Brisbane, and we're going to go on across the country to Perth, which I think is very important to do. They have like 1,000 people praying, and have been doing so for a long time. Then back to Adelaide for Shrove Tuesday and Ash Wednesday. I think y'all are very blessed to have Father DeRosa here, an excellent, excellent priest from America who has a fantastic pro-life history. And will share his view of life and love and what those really mean in the world. And I guess by you all being here, you're showing that you understand that. I know that you could be anywhere that you want tonight. So could I. So could Father DeRosa. He does not paid. He takes his personal time off to come here. Our board members are not paid. I could be anywhere. I have 8 children. 2 of them are married. I have 2 grandchildren, and all from, I can say this to Catholics, but the usual response is, from how many wives do you have? How many wives do I have? Just the one. Yes, and she's my best friend and the best person I ever met in my life, and she lets me come here. And some of you are here without your spouses today too, and we need to thank them as well, because if you have a spouse that allows you to go out on the street and allows you to pray, then God bless them, because they're doing something back at home which allows you to do that. And so, I could be anywhere too, but we chose to do this, and we chose to do it because we know that evil thrives when good people do nothing, and evil is thriving. And I know y'all might be we say y'all. I'm from Virginia, which formerly, it's one of the original colonies. After we kicked the British out of our country, by the way. We had a war, and they wore red coats so we could see them real easily. Anyway, we're free. So we're not part of the Commonwealth. So we're from Virginia, which was one of the original 13 colonies back when we weren't free and under the oppression of King whoever, George III. And recently, it turns out that Governor Northam, a pediatrician no less, when explaining why we should have a bill. Now, I was a 4-time elected DA. I know these people. I don't know Governor Northam, I'm proud to say. But I was in those same halls with the same people. You can get on YouTube and watch that. That person, Brad Gilbert, is a prosecutor just like I was. We call him Commonwealth Attorney. He's a prosecutor just like I was. And he kept cross-examining Delegate Tran. Do you mean to say that you could abort a baby when the mother is dilating? And she said, well, yes, there's no limit in my bill. But Governor Northam appeared to take it one step further and say, once the baby is born, his words, not mine, we resuscitate it if necessary, make it comfortable, keep the baby warm, and then we discuss what to do with the mother and the father. Does your abortion law say consult the father? No, neither does ours. Neither does any abortion law on earth. This is the governor whose job it is to veto or say yes to legislation, and is talking about something that isn't even the law. Now that followed on New York. Now you figured New York, okay. New York, maybe they don't like life so much. But Virginia, that's like saying Texas is falling. So I get it. I get it. It's tough. It's tough. You got buffer zones. I'm a lawyer, so I'm actually here because I've been traveling all around the law. The United States hates buffer zones. Even we call liberals like liberals. You call them conservatives, labor. It's all very confusing. But liberals are the ones that don't like life. And even the liberals are saying, we can't have buffer zones because if we stop they're crazy, the pro-lifers, but if we stop them from talking, one day they'll stop us from talking. I mean, this is a principle that you have to understand is worth fighting for. Because the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, the first one, is an anti-tyranny amendment, because if you can't talk without fear of retribution or imprisonment, then the government is your master when it is supposed to be your servant. And the Second Amendment is like it. You don't have it, but that's the right to bear arms. No communist country do people have the right to bear arms. Not one communist country. It is not a hunting thing. It is not a gang thing. People do get shot with guns, but guns don't kill people. People with guns kill people. Let me tell you that. I'm not on the Second Amendment trick here, but what I am saying is these two amendments go together as anti-tyranny amendments. Anti-tyranny amendments. So this First Amendment is an important thing for you to have. And the gun thing is completely debatable, and I understand that. But the other one is not, and that's why I'm separating them out. You should be able to speak your mind and your beliefs and your religion, and the press should be able to assemble, and you should be able to assemble without fear of retribution from the very people that you elected and you pay their salary. So they put up these hateful bubble zones, right? Buffer zones, safety access zones, you call them here. Safety access zones, so that the women who are going into a building that is going to cut their child apart with scissors and suck it out of a vacuum are safe from us when we are opening our arms in the love of Jesus Christ. Violence is not our tool. They need nothing to be safe from. Violence is their tool, and it's the tool of the devil. But they call them safety access zones, right? So 40 Days for Life has over 1 million people. We've been for 12 years in 750 locations in 56 countries and have never had an act of violence. We have a statement of peace. We peacefully pray. Everything in life is conversation with God, prayer, and fast, because our Lord himself said some demons can only be driven out by fasting. Remember the apostles recently in one of the readings in daily mass said, why couldn't we drive out this demon, Lord? And he said, this type can only be driven out by prayer. Even the apostles weren't praying enough, okay? It gives me hope. I kind of like Peter. And the third thing is, of course, peaceful outreach. So the buffer zones make it tough. But do you think that God is going to be constrained by a 150-yard blue line on the ground? Do you think really that's God? That's denying his omnipotence. Of course not. Canada, part of the Commonwealth, has buffer zones. I've been all across Canada, spoken at the March for Life, the Marche pour la Vie in Ottawa. Father DeRosa and I went up to Calgary. They called me up there. They said, please come and fight this awful buffer zone we have. They have a different kind. And we were standing in it, and 4 people can go inside the buffer zone at a time. And when the press came up, the secular press, to interview me up there, the second biggest press, we said, ho, you can't come in. And they said, surely it doesn't apply to us. It's for you nutty protesters. And I said, here's a copy of the law. I was with a Canadian lawyer, and they said, this does apply. Now, all of a sudden, we go back to eat dinner at the hotel. We're on the 6 o'clock nightly news. We're on the 7 a.m. morning news because now nobody can go in the buffer zone. This wasn't what it was intended. Can one man make a difference? Yes, in Nottingham, England, which is also part of the Commonwealth. They started it. In Nottingham, England, Dr. John Edwards was all lined up to go to court when the Nottingham City Council lied about his 40 Days for Life campaign and said that he is harassing and intimidating women. And the city council members even put quotations from women about their lies. None of the women showed up to court. No affidavits were put into court. And John Edwards got on the Facebooks and social media accounts of the council members and found that it said, we will use any methods possible to get rid of this 40 Days for Life protest. And the judge said, what say you about this, city council lawyer? And she said, we haven't taken sides in this, judge. And he says, well, it sure looks like you have to me. Dr. Edwards, you win. Now, his lawyer got sick the night before and was not able to come. And he went alone and argued his own case. And the judge said, how much shall I award you in attorney's fees? And he said, well, my lawyer's not here. He goes, how about £1,000? And he said, that sounds good to me. This was a slam dunk win by a retired doctor in Nottingham, England. And he said in there in his final closing argument, Judge, speech that is not divisive, speech that is uncomfortable. You can read this. I put the transcript on our website. Speech that people do not necessarily want to hear is freedom of speech. Is that type of freedom is a freedom not worth having. And the judge said, I agree. So we are out there, and not everybody will agree to you. I'm sure, I don't know if you have the same hand signals that we do in the United States, but sometimes you get the one-fingered welcome wave. Sometimes I think I choose that they feel I'm number one. Sometimes you get the honks. Sometimes you get the unintelligible insult, go get a life, which I try to... I had a Wiccan priestess drive by and curse me in California, Northern California, outside of San Francisco, which was, that's her natural habitat. So all sorts of things happen. But frankly, that's about it. Most people are like, thumbs up. I wish I had the courage. I tell you this, go out 1 hour if you haven't been out. It'll change your life. You'll get way more out of it than anybody else will, except one person. One person who can't be here tonight, one person who can't file lawsuits, one person who can't go to the March for Life in Washington, D.C., one person who can't grow up to be a lawyer or not grow up to be a lawyer, or just one person with Down syndrome who their parents love and will give them joy for as long as they live, or one person who lives 16 minutes on the chest of the mother, the unborn. And until they have that voice, you are their voice, so thank you. And you are not alone. There are 300,000 people right now meeting in church basements. I would usually be in a basement, but in church basements and big halls. We talk to 25 people in Melbourne. Sometimes there's 2,500 people where I go. What matters is that we touch somebody's heart at some time. But there are groups like this meeting all over the world doing exactly what you're doing, praying with you and praying for you. And I can tell you that because I tell them all about it. By the way, Paul Hanrahan, a great Canadian pro-lifer, asked me to ask you all to pray for him and his daughter-in-law. His son has been married less than a year, and they have lost 2 babies. And the most recent baby died at 17 weeks, was born warm and alive, I guess, and was baptized. And she has a dread infection and is in a coma. I didn't know this, and we showed up. He picked us up at the airport in the midst of all this, and we went to the grave of Eileen O'Connor, your next saint, who's in Corrupt. And his family gathered in Father DeRosa. There was no other priest there. And Father DeRosa, we just got off the plane. We literally didn't even go to a hotel. We were on the plane for like 300 hours. And we got off the plane and got in there, and we led the rosary there at the grave. They built it very close to the sun. It was like 400 degrees in there. But it was a blessing. It was a blessing that we didn't even know we'd have. And out there in the bay, in this beautiful bay, I don't know the name of it. People, what? Coogee, yeah. Couldn't say it if I knew the name of it. Coogee. There's people doing God knows what, dressed Lord knows how or why. But there we were, that family, praying for this young woman. Lauren is her name. So I don't know. I started a novena to St. Philomena. Whatever, some of you may not even be Catholic in here, but pray, please. Look, abortion, what's the scope? What's the scope of this? You have how many people? 25 million people in Australia, in a vast land with vast wealth, where nobody goes hungry, where you are giving away vast sums of money to people who go hungry, where everybody has a roof over their head. You have minerals, you have jobs, just like we do in America, just like they do in Canada. And you have aborted 3 million Australians. Hitler didn't do that. Mao didn't do that. Ceausescu didn't do that. You didn't need communists to come in. You didn't need dictators. You didn't even need natural disasters to do it. Mom and dad did that. Moms and dads from Australia killed 3 million little Australians. 3 million little Australians, right? 75,000 Australians a year are being aborted, and it's one every 7 minutes. One every 7 minutes. Worldwide. And by the way, the land of the free and the home of the brave gave you abortion on demand. The United States of America has aborted 63 million Americans. 1.2 million a year. 1.2 million a year. You know what happens when there's turmoil in the world? We go forth and we protect and we defend, and we're killing our own children. And that's why I mentioned Trump. He's taking it back. He's defunding Planned Parenthood, and he is saying if we are going to protect Americans abroad and other people abroad, we must protect those at home. We must protect our own first. And so the problem is that 56 million people die in the world every year. Did you know that there's 196 countries in the world? 5 prohibit abortion. 5. One's the Vatican. 4 real countries prohibit abortion. One's Malta. So 3 real countries, and they're all in South America, Central and South America. And 56 million people die a year. You know how many abortions there are a year? 56 million. The same number of people that die from every other cause on earth, cancer, violence, all the guns we have in America, let's throw that in, right? Gangs, people who cross the wall, and all that stuff. Every single thing, traffic deaths, is 56 million. Google it. 56 million abortions occur a year. Here in Australia, you don't even keep official stats. Could you imagine having a thing that you're so ashamed of that you don't even keep statistics? Could you imagine being a doctor who has to hide in a locked parking space and have a walled-in facility with no windows and bars and escorts protecting them? Is that why doctors became doctors? Is that in the Hippocratic Oath? No, actually in the Hippocratic Oath it says, "Thou shalt procure no abortion," or euthanasia. And when Dr. Haywood Robinson, who is on our board, a former abortionist who came to Christ, was debating the most notorious abortionist in London on the radio, and I was present, gripping my rosary, face of evil, she said, "Well, I like to think that the Hippocratic Oath would have been different if it was written by a woman." Different if it was written by a woman. Let's test that theory. Is abortion good for women? That's what you hear, right? That's the lie. Because we know, by the way, who we're fighting. We're not fighting the politicians. We're not fighting the liberals or laborers. We're not fighting our neighbor. We're not fighting our bosses. The problem is us. We either choose to follow Christ or we choose to listen to the devil. We're fighting the devil here. That's what's happening, because is abortion, I mean, just think about it. God gave us intellect and reason, right? So let's use it. Is abortion good for women? Is it health care? Half of the babies that get aborted would have grown up to be women. Killing them is not health care to them. Is it choice? Half of the babies that get aborted would have been women. Did they get a choice? A poor woman walks in to have an abortion. Does she come out wealthy? An uneducated woman walks in and she leaves ignorant. A homeless woman goes back to the shelter after her abortion. A hungry woman goes back to the soup kitchen or the welfare line after her abortion. And I tell you, as a 4-time elected prosecutor, the abused women, 9 times out of 10, go back to their abusers after their abortions. It solves no problems and leaves a lonely and distressed woman alone and distressed without her child. It solves no problem. It is a bill of goods sold to you mainly by male legislators that say, let's not address the real issues of inequality in the workplace, uneducation, and not bad education for women, battered women, all that. Let's just give them abortion on demand and tell them they're equal and they'll be like men, and we won't address the original problems. Think about it. Is this what's happening? And if not, why are we agreeing with it? Why are women agreeing with it? Why have women chosen to allow the womb to go from the most safe place in the world to the most dangerous battlefield on earth? Why? So the extent of the problem, these 56 million babies that get aborted every year, 56 million. If somebody went and did a crazy thing like you hear in America and got mad at their boss and shot up their office and 5 people died, the whole world knows about it. 56 million. But the abortion center across the street could kill 37 babies and nobody even reports on it, right? But if shots were ringing from the bell tower, as we say in America, we would all do something about it. Do we really believe that there are babies being killed in that building or not? And y'all do, and you're doing something about it. 2 billion babies have been aborted worldwide in the history of the world. 2 billion babies. Not more than all wars and calamities combined. 2 billion babies. Here in Australia, I'm in Australia, right? We travel a lot. Here in Australia, I told you what's happened here, 3 million. You've aborted over 10% of the Australians. When we were in Romania, my wife and I, my 8 kids finally are old enough that my wife can come along with me. When we were in Romania, I did the first public debate with a lawyer on abortion ever in their country. You know, in America, everything's been done. We love to argue about everything, so it's all on the news all the time, and sometimes our president even tweets about stuff. And so everything's out there, right? Everything's like, yeah, let's get in the ring and have a fist fight. And sometimes there's no opponent. We get in the ring anyway and start swinging. But in Romania, they just got their freedom in 1991. I mean, we don't remember, right? Communism was brought there in 1956, and that's when abortion was brought there. There are 19 million Romanians in the world. 23 million Romanians have been aborted. More Romanians have been aborted than there are left on earth, and that is true in Estonia and Slovakia and Slovenia and all these countries that you look at. They're either approaching the number where they have aborted more people than they have, and this will happen, but for the 100 or so of you gathered in church basements in Brisbane and Perth and everywhere else. And we're not doing it for ourselves. We're not doing it to protest death. We're doing it for Jesus Christ, right? People die. We're not in front of hospitals protesting cancer. We're in front of hospitals protesting the willful and intentional taking of the most precious life, and they can't defend themselves, and doing it in horrific, horrific means. These babies are slaughtered. Make no mistake about it. In Brisbane, of course, you have your hateful buffer zones, which came in 2018. I tell you, don't. So we get depressed. We get upset, we get angry, but don't despair. That is the tool of the devil. That makes us quit. Do not despair. These buffer zones will come and they will go, and good judges will come and go. And St. Jose Maria Escrivá said, I pin my soul to the back of no man, for I know not where he goes. Don't pin your soul to some law or something and get despondent and then despair. It's okay. Get out there and pray and trust in the Lord. The Lord will take care of it. Stand up, do what's right, and the Lord will take care of the rest. You have a population of 5 million people approximately. You abort 12,000. I'm not in Brisbane, in Queensland. Queensland. You abort 12,000 babies a year, approximately. There's no official statistic. These are conservative. So from 1984, when abortion came, to 2018, you have aborted, from Queensland, 427,000 babies. Like I said, not a foreign invader, not gangs, MS-13, I don't know if you have them, or hateful gangs from all over the place. Mom and dad did this. So you are approaching 10% of your population, which has been aborted by mom and dad. And not to make that it doesn't even make any sense in the secular sense. There are secularists for life. It's kind of odd, but sometimes they come out even with us, and we're like, we're praying out here. But even they get it. You don't kill off your own population and then rely on a bunch of people moving into your country to help you out, right? Not that that's bad. America was built on people coming in, but you don't rely on it. You do it as a way of life, not as a way of death. So that's the scope of the problem that we have. And we know that it solves no problem. Here in the United States of America, 40 Days for Life partners with 4,000 pro-life pregnancy centers. Because we can say, what is the problem, ma'am? What is the issue? And she can say, I don't have health care, because health care you got to pay for in America. We say, okay, we'll get you to this pro-life pregnancy center, and mom and baby will get free health care. Well, I'm homeless. We partner with shelters. We have 4 buildings that are Mary Shelter in my little hometown of Fredericksburg, Virginia, run by a saint, Kathleen Wilson, really the model all over the world. But they're there. They're in Phoenix. I went to a lady named Doris in Rio de Janeiro in the favelas with my 18-year-old daughter. My friend said, you're crazy to take your daughter into the favelas. Are you kidding me? I said, you're crazy to let your kid on the internet and date a 25-year-old dude. We're on a mission trip. We're on a mission trip. We're protected by God. And we walked around at night with 58 little kids around us. And everybody was happy to see us. And I felt completely safe. And this woman sold everything she had and quit her job as an accountant. Her car barely started. I was in it and saw it there too. And her air conditioning was broken. And opened up these 2 centers where 58 women who chose life brought their babies every day centers. And a 17-year-old came up to me, and it's like Australia, the women don't wear much. And she said, look at this. And she had a scar all the way from the back of her leg up her thing. And she said, my mom got pregnant. Abortion is illegal technically. It's a crime. Abortion es crime, they say in Portuguese. It's a crime. But everybody can get one by saying health of the mother, mental health, whatever. So they have 1.3 million abortions a year, and they have 200,000 people, 200 million people, less than the United States, more abortions, even though it's a crime. But because it's a crime, you can't go to a regular place if you don't have a reason. So they go to witch doctors. And the witch doctor will tell you, you think it's bad here? You think you have buffer zones when you drive your car that starts with your air conditioning? I'm not exactly sure. We have air conditioning in America, and we use it. In Australia, everybody seems to have air conditioning, and they don't use it. But anyway, we get to drive, and we can eat 24 hours a day in America and in Australia and Canada and the West. They can't. And so they go to a witch doctor, and they give them a tea. And my mom took the tea, but it didn't kill me. It left me with this scar. And when I got pregnant when I was 16, my mom took me to the same witch doctor and tried to make me drink the same poison. And I said, I'm not going to kill my baby. I'm not going to do to my baby what you did to me. And her alternative was to go to the witch doctor if she didn't want to drink the tea and come back when the baby was 5 months old. And they do a cesarean section and birth the baby alive and do a human sacrifice. Put the baby in a jar and below a specific plant. And so that everybody knows when that plant grows, that's a witch. That's how you get an abortion. If you're poor in Brazil. It can get worse. It can get worse. And those people, we have a campaign in Sao Paulo. I've been to Sao Paulo and talked to hundreds and hundreds of people showed up We have a campaign in Sao Paulo. There are people all over the world, and they have it tougher. There are people, I don't know if you know this, but there are places where it's cold in the world, and it snows, like Alaska. And these people stand outside in blizzards hour after hour and pray in front of an abortion clinic. And one day, somebody will come out of that abortion clinic and say, what are you people? Because we're you people. You know, what we call in America, if you say you people, they say, what do you mean by you people? But they always call us you people. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, the same thing you mean when you say it to me, and I don't get offended. But anyway, we call them snowflakes in America because they melt easily. So these snowflakes, but someone will be up there, like Jules Green, or Mona Trevino, or Abby Johnson, who you might have heard of with Planned Parenthood, who came out of the abortion facility and came to our founder, Sharon Carney, and converted, and we bought that building and changed it from a house of death to a house of life. Someone will look out the lunchroom window one day and see you sitting there and walk out and say, I can't stand it anymore. Why would you give up your Saturdays? Why would you come out here when it's hot, I almost said cold, and raining? And why would you do that? And you'll get to say, because of Jesus Christ. And that person may convert and leave, like the 187 abortion workers that have changed in the last 12 years and come to Christ during a 40 Days for Life campaign. And those are the ones that had the courage to admit it to us and maybe get sued by Planned Parenthood or Pro Familia, or they call it Pro Familia. Do you have Pro Familia here? Pro Family, or Orientame, Counsel Me. These are the words they call for abortion clinics in Latin America and Europe. I guess you have Marie Stopes, which is at least an innocuous name. We have Planned Parenthood, which is, I guess, like an honest name. And they will come out, and you might save a soul. And how many babies get saved when an abortion worker quits and stops doing abortions? How many souls get saved when a facility shuts down? That's what's at stake. And you've answered the call. So again, thank you. So we all know that when we are out there, abortion appointments, these are appointments to have the baby killed. Abortion appointments go down 75% when we're praying outside. And that does not matter whether there's a buffer zone, because they still have to get there. And so many women have said, I was going to go, but I saw you there, and I knew. The Catholics say sometimes we have Our Lady of Guadalupe signs. I knew Mother Mary didn't want me here. In Bogota, Colombia, where both Father DeRosa and I have been at separate times, we met with our great leader, Pamela Delgado. She's a small woman, dedicated her life to the pro-life movement. Firecracker, like, you know how it is in Latin America, like everything's like a soccer game. So they have drums out there. She has 2,000 people, and it is 24/7. Do you know why? They have 80 abortion clinics in a 10-block area. And so a woman there who has a show on Radio Maria, she opened up a fake abortion clinic. And she got permission to have the Holy Eucharist in a chapel and a big picture of Mother Mary. And she has a 95% turnaround. When those women come in, they say, Mother, I knew Mother Mary didn't want me to kill my baby. To kill my baby. To kill my baby. That's what they say. I knew Mother Mary. But she knew. She knew she shouldn't be killing her baby. Just say that out loud. What are you doing today? I'm going to go kill my baby. No one says that, right? No one says that. No doctor wants to grow up to be an abortionist, and no woman says, yeah, I'd like to probably go to university and maybe be an accountant and have a couple of abortions. Never is that on the list. Never is that on the list. It is not a goal to end the life of another. It's a horrible thing. Sometimes it might be justified. Sometimes it might be necessary in war. Sometimes it might be accidental, self-defense, defense of others. But convenience, desperation, lack of money, these are the things that are killing 56 million people a year. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Father DeRosa is going to get up and talk to you as well. And I'll leave you with this. By the way, I won't leave you with this. Lawyers always do that. They say, I got one more thing to say, and 20 minutes later, And then you get a bill at the end. There will be a bill at the end. Look at this. I did this research. So in your capital that I can't pronounce, Canberra? Yeah, okay. I'm doing good. Canberra, on demand. Sydney, criminal abortion, criminal offense. Northern Territory, 24 weeks. Queensland, 22 weeks. South Australia, 28 weeks. Tasmania, 16 weeks. This is when life begins, I guess. What are they doing in the halls of justice? You know, I think let's give the little fella 16 weeks. No, how about 17? Do you know a kid that's 5? You go into like a, I don't know, we call it kindergarten. We go into a kindergarten, there's 5-year-olds. They're not the same size. They don't have the same ability to, do you think that all these people, like 14 weeks and 1 minute, that's too late? Too late, it's a person. It's a little Australian. But what was it a minute ago? A zygote. Some word you don't know what it means. It's ridiculous. Victoria, 24 weeks. Western Australia, 20 weeks. If this is about women's rights, the woman's right wanes as the baby gets fatter? I mean, let's use our intellect. God gave us our intellect, you know? The woman's rights get less as the baby gets older. Does the baby gain value in the womb? Does the baby, think of, how could that be? Yeah, the baby, what it's doing there is it's sitting and it's gaining value. I can imagine Trump. You know, I know a lot of people, and he thinks that they all think that's really stupid. And I agree with them, you know? I mean, how could that possibly be? When Father DeRosa is going to talk to you a little bit about it, but our latest person who joined the 40 Days for Life team, Sue Thayer, who was an 18-year abortion clinic manager of the year. She killed babies for 18 years. She came to Christ. We hired her. She wears in penance a sign that says, I am a former abortion worker manager. She knows what she did. She debated this person, I can't say her name and don't want to, who's the head of BPAS. And she said, yes, we kill 70,000. And I'll say kill. We kill 70,000 babies. God, and I'll say babies because life begins at conception. We kill 70,000 babies a year, and actually, I'm quite proud of our work. She's been doing it for almost 20 years. We're talking about 1 million babies on her watch, and she's quite proud of her work. And what she said was, the baby gains value as it gets older, and therefore, the older the baby gets in the womb, the less abortions we should have. But it only gains value in the perspective and relation to mom and the abortionist. And therefore, abortionists and moms know not to abort babies like 8, 9 months old because the baby has value in their eyes. I mean, these are the arguments. This is why I say we're fighting evil. We're fighting ourselves. I mean, you could just say it out loud and then be like, okay, great. Let's go have some donuts and see a movie. It's unbelievable. So I tell you this, fight in the courts. But there will be new judges. Fight in the legislature, but there will be new parliamentarians or whatever y'all call them. Congressmen, we call them. Congress people, I guess, or else you're a hater. Congress people. But battle on your knees, because that is where this battle will be won, on our knees, from the Alpha to the Omega. God doesn't say, you know, I'm going to put your soul in Queensland at 24 weeks. I'm going to put your soul in Perth at 20 weeks. It doesn't happen like that, and we all know it, right? This battle will be won on our knees, from the Alpha to the Omega. There's one Supreme Court, and there is one judge in the Supreme Court, and he's God. And they can put on black robes and call themselves supreme or high or whatever. I think they might be high. And when they make decisions, that was like a joke. And we will be praying for you. And I will spread the word of where we were, and Father DeRosa will spread the word. And our whole team goes out, and we are here to support you. And we love you. And please pray for us. Thank you.